Hey y'all, it's the Sassy attorney, and I am back with a Main Street Stories. And I've told some stories about state house representatives. I've told some stories about city council members and mayor. Um, but today we are going to be talking about the sheriff here in Beaufort County. And this is a story, I'm going to be very honest with you, is probably going to be the most emotional story that I have to tell. And it was tied to a very traumatic day for myself and my family. And unfortunately, it involved my daughter when she was 8 years old. And I debated as to whether or not I was going to be telling this story. I've told it to friends, and my family lived it alongside me, so they already knew it. But I debated as to whether or not I was going to share it on this platform. But I think it is important, and it speaks to a larger issue that we are deciding now with the primary election. So, in the spring of 2023, we enrolled my daughter to play softball. And she was 8 years old at the time. And it was through the city Parks and Rec department. And the 8U, I think, is the youngest. They might have a 6U. I can't remember off the top of my head. But my daughter had only played one season before. And that was the first time she'd ever picked up a glove and a bat. And we're not those people, like, you're not going to catch this family on the travel ball scene. That's not going to be us. Okay, I'm not spending thousands of dollars to go to Myrtle Beach every weekend and play in a doubleheader. That's not the life I'm gonna lead. If it's for you, my goodness, let me say, you do it. I know a lot of people, they absolutely love it. It's a big, like, sub family for them, and I'm happy for you. That's not where my family is led. Number one, in talent, and number two, in just, the things that we pour into. It's not something we're going to do. So we're rec ball people, okay? We pay our $50 to $100 to get a jersey, some practice energy, run out of our kids once or twice a week, and hopefully only one game a week. That's we're rec ball people, and we're proud to be rec ball people. We think it's important to have rec ball. All right, it's a fundamental league. It's building skills. The number one skill in any rec ball team should be teamwork, right? And confidence building. I don't think that's necessarily the value system of everybody that plays in rec ball, which is probably a whole nother series that we could launch into. But for us, that's who we are. And the thing I love about rec sports is you get to see the growth in children. And because I remember our daughter didn't even know how to pick up and swing a bat, and how awkward, her first swings were. By the time in the spring of 23, just one season ahead of that, she was, hitting the ball consistently and doing a good little job. We were very proud of her. And we enjoyed the little team that we were on that spring. They had some very supportive coaches. You'll see all kinds out there at the rec ball field in terms of coaching. You've got those that are truly meant to be coaches. You can see that they care about the holistic experience for the child, not just the win. And then you've got the ones that obviously they've got some unsettled business with probably where they did or did not go in sports themselves as children, and maybe the lack of personal talent that they have. They are pouring into their children and have some very high D1 or professional expectations for their children's sports. So again, in the spring of 23, our daughter's playing softball, and we were having a good season, which is always fun, and the children were having fun, which we love as well. um, there were a couple parents on our team again that probably had that travel ball vibes. They would yell at the children if they made a mistake, even ones that weren't theirs. And I got to the point where, for me and my peace, I don't need to be sitting in the stands with people that are screaming and yelling at children, because again, I energy match. So you yelling at my child is probably going to result in me yelling at you. So I protected my peace, and after probably about the third or fourth game, we would bring our own chairs and sit all the way in the outfield, because I was happy to just watch my child and cheer for her, and that's about it. I also became a popcorn connoisseur, and I'll tell you right now, I think Bellhaven, their Parks and Rec, they got the best popcorn. That's my opinion, but I think they have the best popcorn. Chalkwinity, I'll give it to them. They got the best icy machine. They got themselves a real life, like a gas station icy machine. I hope they still have it. But I mean, that was a crowd favorite for us in the stands and the after games. But we get to the last game of the season, and that is on May the 12th, 2023. And the beautiful thing about, when you have a good season is we got the final game was basically everyone was going to get a trophy. So you love that for the children, because, children love a trophy. I hate a trophy because it's just one more thing to keep dusted and cleaned and in a room. And then, in 25, 30 years, I'm going to have to box them up and, be like, oh, don't you want these trophies from, rec league? No, you don't. Oh, well, I don't want them in my basement anymore. What are you going to do with them? So, yeah. But we were ending the season on a high note. Both teams were, which is always exciting. But the team we were playing definitely gave the coach, the one coach was lovely, very supportive, seemed like had a good head on his shoulder. The other coach, he's living vicarious. Okay, he's got a lot on the line with these wins. He's, we're not focusing on the holistic building the child up. We're focusing on the W. He's staying focused on the W at all costs. And one of those that's a yeller too, old yeller. So yeah. So for the rest of this video, we are going to refer to that coach on the other team as Old Yeller, because that's what he was about. He was about the yelling. And I should also mention that our youngest played baseball the same time our daughter played softball, which resulted in what happened on May the 12th, 2023. He's scheduled for a game, and she's scheduled for a game at the exact same time. So fortunately, at least they would have, most of the times the field behind them would be the baseball field, and the softball field, it kind of like backed up to each other. So we didn't have to walk that far, but it meant the whole game you're walking back and forth between the two games. And our daughter was playing shortstop or third base, maybe third base. She's playing either shortstop or third base, right, for this particular play. And she had, she'd been an outfielder. Playing a base was new. She didn't play a base the whole season. And so we, because again, it's a rec league. You're trying to teach them different positions, and it's a fundamental league, so you're trying to build skills, and there's different skills between an outfielder and a infielder, and 8U, they're not getting that many balls hit out to the outfield at 8U softball. So, but she was new, but playing in an infield position. And so at one point, while I'm over at the baseball game, with watching my son do whatever batting or trotting around the field, picking up grass, doing all that, there was a controversial play that involved my child. And subsequent to that play, Old Yeller was ejected from the game. Now, Old Yeller was the type that, he won't gonna let an umpire tell him what to do. So he tried to do this finagling where he's not gonna leave the complex. He just walked away from the field itself, right? Old Yeller's there trying to basically coach from under a tree near the snack shack, all right? And that became a whole thing in and of itself. But again, I was not privy to it. I didn't see the play in real life. I didn't see the aftermath of it. I just subsequently saw a video of Old Yeller interacting with my child on the field. And I'm very thankful that I didn't see the play and the interaction with Old Yeller and my child in real time. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So we leave, the inning change or whatever, the sun batting, I can't even remember. And we go back to the softball field. And I see that, my child's out at the mound, and her coach has wrapped her arms around my child, and my child is hysterically crying. And I can't remember if I'd gone back to our seats over by the outfield, where our team's on the right, the first baseline. So our seats were over at right field, where the tall fence kind of tapers down to the shorter outfield fence. But I realized that it's our child out there, and I asked the one of the other parents, like, oh, what happened? Is she she get hit in the face? Do you think I need to go out on the field? Is she okay? And I'm nervous. I'm very concerned. My child is crying. And that parent said, "Did you not see what happened?" And I said, "No, I didn't. We were over at the baseball field." And she said, "Well, that coach, Old Yeller, got in her face and he raised her hand. And I know if my child had been your child, I'd be on him. I'd be on him." And I'm just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? An adult screaming at my child, raising their hand at my child? What are you talking about? So at that point, I go to find my husband, and my parents are there. My in-laws are there. I mean, we've got a bunch of family because this is like the last game, and everybody's trying to check the box of, oh, we didn't make it to a softball game. So sometimes it gets down to the end, and so you got a big old crowd there cheering you on. And I'm shocked. I am. And 3 years later, it's kind of a blur. I know that I ended up giving a statement as to what happened. I think at one point, I went around because she was on the left side, the third baseline. That's where her position, whether it was shortstop or third base, that she was playing, and the coach was kind of holding her. And I mean, the game stopped. It stopped, and it's been stopped for a while. So something had happened, with the interaction between the umpire and the coach and this whole thing, and the coach and my child. But I make sure she's physically okay. And then I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to storm the mound and run on the field. She's got a coach. The coach is tending to her. I'd gotten a signal from the coach she was okay, so we're good. And our child comes to the dugout. And my husband's consoling her, and we're just like, well, what happened? And she's like, the fans were yelling at me, the coach was yelling at me, then they started booing me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? And so, we kind of get the story from her. And she's crying hysterically, though. And we're just like, hey, you're okay. Let's calm down. You're going to have to go up and bat in a few minutes. And let's just calm down. And anybody that knows me knows I'm not the one to calm someone down. That's not my best skill. Okay? Again, because I energy match. I can hype you up. I can do that real well. But calm you down, that's not my best skill. So my husband, who is, trained in calming people down, because he lives with me, he's tending to our daughter and helping her kind of piece together what happened, and talking to the coach, and just getting the girls calm back down for the next inning. And at that point, I'm standing behind our dugout, but like catty corner, probably about 20 feet away from it. And so in between, like where our seats were, and there's a sidewalk that walks you to the parking lot in between two fields. And we're standing on that sidewalk. And my mom and mother-in-law are like, what happened? And I said, I have no idea. She's, all I could get out of her that people were booing her, and and something about the coach with her. So as we're standing there, and I start to tear up because my kid's crying. The game had been stopped. I mean, I know she's embarrassed. I don't know what's happened, and I'm nervous. I'm nervous. The energy felt really weird, and when our parent kind of kicked it off with the information about the coach and her, I was getting real kind of upset. And so when I get upset, typically I cry. That's kind of a first response, right? And so again, this is a conversation between me and my mother-in-law and my mother. And we're just, like, what in the world? What happened? We're not cussing. Nobody's trying to fight nobody. Like, hey, you come over here and we're going to get you. We're going to, 3-on-3. We're going to fight you. Well, this elderly woman comes up to us. And I knew she was from the other team because when their team would go into the field, this elderly woman and a deputy that I knew, because, I was a magistrate. So I knew him. He was an investigator. And so he used to come down to the magistrate's office, swear out to warrants, with narcotics and, different crimes and stuff. And we had small talked before the game started, because when they're warming up, it's the end of the school year. Sometimes children aren't in the mood to, do things on it. And it was like a Friday night, right? So, they're tired. We're tired. And him and his daughter had kind of had a little, you need to listen to me thing. And he's trying to coach her from the sidelines, which honestly is one of my least favorite things for people to do, But anyways, he'd been coming over in between innings when our team was batting and his daughter was in right field. He would come over and kind of stand there and coach her, because there are not enough coaches. You got to coach your own kid on the field too, right? Right.